Okay, so you won't see my face up on the screen very often, but I always have it up there for a little while to start off class. Usually we go to full screen quickly, like this. Are anybody in here, or how many of you are familiar with Blackboard? Let's just ask it that way. Okay, you know what it is at least. For both of your programs, it's not something that's used extensively, so I'll kind of step through it here a little bit. If you go to WITC's webpage, up on the top are our quick links. This is where you go to email and do your registration and stuff like that. Blackboard's right up there, right alongside them. So if you click on that, it'll take you to Blackboard. I've already logged into it once today, so I don't have to do it again. Normally, you'd have to log in. Just like your email, it would be your username, would be your student ID number, and your password would be the same as well. The first two letters of your first name, first two letters of your last name, and then the last four digits of your social security number. Once you get there, you have your list of classes along the side here. Let me make sure I got the right one for us. 61699. So that would be you guys right there. So once you click on the class, you have a little bit of an introductory announcement. The biggest thing is it just says go to course information. Everything that is useful for you in this class will be in course information. Now just a side note, you guys are not required to use Blackboard for this course at all. If you never go on Blackboard, it's not going to hurt you. But there's going to be some stuff out here that would be useful to you if you choose to use it. First of all, under the course information, you'll find the syllabus, which we'll get back to in a second. There's my contact information, so you'll always have it with you. If you can get to a computer, you can always find it. My extension at WITC's main phone number is 5361. I'm never in my office, so don't expect to call and get a hold of me, but you can always leave a voicemail and I'll check it. I check my voicemail at least once a day, so I will get it. The most reliable way to get a hold of me is email right there, todd.hoff@witc.edu. I realize up on the board it's a little small to see, but it's out there for you to find. I check my email at least a couple times a day, so I get your message pretty quickly. My office is upstairs in the office area. Like I said, I'm never there, so not a great place to find me. I'm usually in this classroom. There are a few times during the week where there are other classes in here. That's about the only time I won't be in here. Otherwise, if you need me, this is the first place to log. And then, of course, when to come find me. That's the next part. There's my schedules right down here. So I'll pull that up for you. So if you just click on it, it'll pull up my schedule for you. You can see that I am free right after this class every day. But there actually is another class that comes in this room every day right after you guys. So if you have a question or something you talk to me about, we can duck to the next room or duck out in the hallway and discuss it and figure it out for you. I realize most of you have other classes you have to get to right away after this one anyway. So we can keep it quick. Any of the times here where it says office hour, I will be in the building and available for students. Like I said, generally in this room, except for the hour right after this class. From 9:30 to 10:20, there's a class in here every day. But if you have a question, you always ask me. We can set up a time and place to meet to figure it out too. Where it says assigned time, most of the time I will be here, unless I have a project that I'm working on that requires me to be away from the building. Okay, enough of that. Also on this page in Blackboard under the course documents, down at the bottom of this, down here is where the links to the daily lectures will start to appear. There's none of them there now because we haven't had any lectures yet. Get back up to the syllabus. Okay, so this just starts out with what we've already been over, my information and how to get a hold of me. Class meeting and location. Well, you're here, so you know where the class is, so we don't have to go over that. Class description, course description. This course is a relatively basic math course. It goes over all the basic arithmetic, whole numbers, fractions, decimals, percents, conversions, and stuff like that, ratio and proportion. It also does some basic algebra, talking about evaluating formulas, solving basic equations and stuff like that. And then some very basic geometry. no proofs or anything like that like you would see in a high school geometry course. By basic geometry, I'm talking about areas, volumes, measurements, and conversions. And maybe some like finding missing dimensions, like a blueprint reading type skill. I'm going to skip down just a second. This right here is the list of topics in the course. Those are the 8 main topics in the course. That doesn't mean those are the only things we're going to cover. I'll pull in some skills that are more specific towards dairy herd and some stuff that are more specific for automotive. But these are the main topics, the minimum topics of the course. Now, if you're looking through that list thinking to yourself, man, I know those really well, this is going to be a really boring semester, there are some options. If you've had any other college level math course, there's a good chance that it'll transfer in for this class. So if you have, come talk to me and I'll take a look at it for you and I'll help you figure out if it's something that you want to do. Second, there is a test out option. There is a fee to attempt the test out. It's $20 per credit. This is a 2-credit course, so it would cost you $40 to try the test out for this class. For this class, the test out has 2 sections. The first section is 20-some questions, and you cannot use a calculator on it. So you have to, it's adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing numbers, decimals, fractions, converting between them, some basic percents. And then there's a second section with 50 questions on it that you can use the calculator on, and it's problem solving, word problems, algebraic equations, geometry, areas, volumes, stuff like that. If it's something you think you're interested in, come and talk to me, and I'll go through it in more detail with you. To pass, you have to have an 80% or better. If you pass it, you can drop the course. You get a refund of your tuition, which I think is like $250 or $260 for this class. And you get this hour free every day. If you don't get 80%, if you don't pass it, well, then you lose your $40 and you're stuck back in here with me. So. What's that?
You have to sign up for the test out at a certain deadline?
You have to do the test out by the end of this first week. In fact, since this class, I think the last day for this class, you guys don't have me on Friday, so you may have to sign up for it by Thursday. I will tell you guys this, and it kind of surprised me, but I do understand that you get away from it for a few months. Test taking skill, it's not as easy as it looks. About 1 out of 3 people who try the test out actually pass it. So it's way low. I mean, you look at it's real easy to look at that list of things and say, I've got this, but it's not as easy as it looks. Just a little. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I just want to make sure you don't go in there blindly and walk out of it upset because you weren't prepared for it. Okay, step back a little bit here. Textbook. Textbook for this class. Hopefully you all have one that looks like this, only in a lot better shape.
No.
No? Not yet? So you're doing the ebook, aren't you, for now?
Yeah, because I gotta wait for DVR because they're getting slow.
Sure. Is there anybody that was given a different textbook or anything? Okay. How many of you are waiting to get the textbook yet? A few of you. A couple of you. No problem. So you need to have the textbook. The other thing you'll need, it says highly recommended, but I can't stress just how highly it is recommended, some form of a scientific calculator. You could probably get through the course without a calculator. It would just be really, really difficult. A lot of extra work. Yes, sir. I get asked that a lot. And you can use your phone, but the calculator that's on your phone is not a great one. But if you want to try to muddle through with it, you can. But I will occasionally walk around and look over your shoulder just to make sure we don't have anybody texting. I mean, I trust you guys, but at the same time, we have had some problems with it. People texting their buddy the questions and stuff like that.
Where could you pick up a calculator?
Any of the stores around town, like Walmart, Shopko, they'll have calculators. If you don't have one and you're wondering what to get, I still have one here. Like this one here, the TI-30 is probably one of the best ones out there. It does everything we need. It's only like 12 or 15 bucks at the most. Sometimes you find them cheaper than that. It's the Texas Instruments TI-30. And it does all the fractions and stuff like that. It goes right up into trig. So it does a lot more than what we need it to. But it's also one of the easier ones to use.
Oh, what about the calculator that you can actually do like fractions on?
This does fractions. This is one of the reasons why I recommend this one. So it has the
'Cause
fractions.
I
on it.
usually use the bigger blue one.
Okay. What's that? You can use the TI-84 if you want to. You can use a graphing calculator if you want to, but by no means is it needed in here. It's way overkill for what we're going to do. This, like I said, this is like 12 or 15 bucks, and that one you're looking at like 110 or 120 bucks. So you don't need to spend that much. I think they're down to like $90 now, but you don't need to spend near that much on one. Yeah, I don't even know how to do everything on the TI-84. They're not needed. And also, this one does fractions a lot easier than some of the most of the graphing ones do. If you have a calculator and you're not sure whether it's good enough, just feel free to come up and talk to me, and I'll take a look at it for you and let you know. The biggest thing is to have that fraction capability. It makes life a lot easier. Okay, grading. Our grading in here is in two parts. We have homework or tests and quizzes, and then we have homework and participation. So let's talk about tests and quizzes first. That is 80% of your grade. There are 5 units in here, so there will be 5 unit tests, 100-point unit tests. Beyond that, quizzes. Of course, the unit tests, I will always give you some sort of warning that they're coming up. Your first unit test comes up really quick. Probably not quite next week, but usually right at the beginning of the 3rd week of class, we hit our first unit test. So just be prepared. It'll come up pretty quickly. Quizzes are usually about every 3 to 4 hours of class. So you guys might not hit a quiz quite yet this first week, but if you don't have one this week, you'll definitely see a quiz in the first class next week. Quizzes are quite often because that's the easiest way for me to check up to see if you're getting the materials to have a quiz. If I give a quiz and the whole class bombs it, that means that tells me that I have to go back and go over something a little bit better. I didn't quite cover it good enough for you. Homework and participation. I will never start class and say, hey, turn in your homework from yesterday. I have between 120 and 140 students a semester. There's just no way I can go through and grade homework and get it back to you. But what I will do is sometimes you will come in beginning of class and there'll be a problem up on the board for you. If you come in and there's one up there at 8:30, whether I'm talking or not, just start working on that problem. I recommend that you put them on a separate piece of paper because every now and then I will say, hey, let's turn that one in and see how you did. It won't be graded on how accurately you did it. If you did it right or wrong, it's not a big deal. What it'll be graded on is whether you worked through it and your process. Did you write stuff down? Did you try to pick out the information and things like that, just to see that you're going through it. So if you don't know how to do it, don't panic that it's going to hurt your grade. The homework grade is more of an effort than it is anything else. And then on the back end of the class, a lot of times this class is a 3-hour-a-week class, but it's only 2 credits, which means it is designed to be only 2 hours of lecture and 1 hour of homework time every week. And normally the way I divide that up is I do 30 to 35 minutes of lecture every day, and then there's 15 to 20 minutes of homework time. So during that homework, at the end of class, once I give homework, you'll have that 15 to 20 minutes. Every few minutes, I'll pick out a problem and I'll go over it on the board, or I'll have you guys do it and we'll discuss it after you've done it just to see how you're doing with it. Just to kind of make sure everybody's on the same page. I know a lot of people can be sitting there struggling with homework and they don't really want to ask a question in front of everybody else. But you're more than welcome to. If you have questions as you're doing the homework, let me know and that'll be the one we do on the board for you. But I'll try to pick out questions and do them up there for you too, just to keep you guided. And every now and then I'll pick one out and I'll put it up there, and same type of thing. I'll say, hey, let's write this one up and hand it in for me. Let's see how you're doing with it. So then, of course, the rest of that is participation, which is just being here. This is now the beginning of my 16th year here. And in 16 years, I've only had one person that showed up every day to this particular class and didn't pass. Otherwise, if you're here every day and you're working, pretty good chance you're going to make it through. The only other people that haven't passed, because I have had a lot of people fail the course, but it's because they just don't show up. Then the standard WITC grading scale, you can see that there. Withdrawals or drops. We had mentioned the test out had to be done in the first week. One of the reasons for that is if you withdraw from the course in the first week, you get a full refund. So they kind of coincide each other. If you pass the test out, you can get your refund for the course. After the first week, there's a percent. You can still get partial refunds, but I don't get into that because it changes every year, and I don't want to tell you something that's wrong. But if you talk to Student Services, they can tell you that. If for some reason you need to drop the class because something in your life has come up and you can't finish the course, or maybe you're not doing well and you want to drop it and try it again some other semester, there is a time where you can no longer drop it. Again, I believe that's like at the end, about 12 weeks into the class, you can't drop after that. So once we start to get in the middle of the semester, it's time to start monitoring things a little closer and keeping track. Now, if you're curious about what your grade is, you can always ask me about your grade. Your grades I have your grades on the MyWITC system, so I can always pull that up and show you your grade immediately for what I have graded. So anytime you want to monitor your grades, just let me know and I can show you. The rest of the policies here are just the ones that we have to put in here, even though I don't care for them. Like don't cheat, don't steal, don't do any of that stuff, which stuff I shouldn't have to tell you, but sometimes we do. But I'm not going to bother going through that. You guys all know better. If you have any needs, whether it's a diagnosed disability or maybe you're just scared taking a math class after being out for a few years, or maybe you struggle with tests, or maybe the classroom is too loud for you. There's a pretty big group in here where there's just too much going on in the classroom or something like that. And if anything you need, whether you need a private room or just maybe you need extra time or whatever on the tests or quizzes, just let me know and we'll figure it out. Very seldom do I run into something that I can't figure out how to help you through. I always figure my first job here is to make you a little more comfortable, because I know people get kind of wound up about math at times. This last one, podcasts and videos, because the class is recorded, that's just a little warning statement out there that you can use them for your own benefit however you want. You just can't, invite your friends over and charge admission, anything like that. Because I know it's a temptation. And then we have, like I said, 5 units. Those are the 5 units right there. We start out with whole numbers, then we go into fractions and decimals, measurement and geometry, measuring devices and algebra, and then ratio and proportion finally. Any questions on class procedures or grading or anything like that? I'm sure by this point you guys have seen enough of these syllabi that you're kind of tired of them. Yeah. Can't blame you. Okay, with that I'm going to end.